We get come together today to celebrate the 2015 6th grade students who have completed upper elementary, and we're going to they are really the stars of the show. They have all prepared some really amazing remarks and reflections to share with you. And we're going to start first with our school superintendent is going to say a couple of things, and Stephanie has some reflections to share with you. Before we get started, though, and turn our attention to the students, which is where our focus should be, I'd like to just take a brief moment to acknowledge all of the adults that have worked with these students. So Stephanie Houston, and Kristen Kelly, and Evan Edgener, and Katie Bear, and all of the lower elementary and children's house guides that have guided you along your journey. And thank you. And to Sue, who also has worked tirelessly to build a school where we can have a ceremony like this. So, quick moment of acknowledgement. Made sure that our upper elementary aftercare has been a fun place for the 9 to 12-year-olds. So, without further ado, Sue Pritzker.
First, I commend all of you for sitting. I can't believe you all sat there so quietly for 5 minutes while we got it all together. And also just a quick one that all of these amazing sets that have been produced, special kudos to Josh this year. I cannot believe the amount of time he's put into making sets, but things are hidden away, but don't forget about the play tomorrow because it is going to be awesome. And I don't have a light here, so this is going to be a bit of a challenge. Is there any way to get a little lighter? We got it? That's all right. I'll be fine. Thank you. Yeah, cell phone comes through again. So yeah, absolutely welcome to all of you. It's so fun for me to watch. When I think of some of these kids, Ty, who was here when he was a toddler, 15 years old, I think, and watching them through their odyssey. And I just have really a message for them, and that is that great adventures await you, and what good fortune it has been for all of us, our teachers and staff people that may have moved on, past teachers that are here to enjoy your day. And it's been really fun to know you. And if your next stop is at Metro, I would say to you that even though it's just a little walk across the street, it's actually a wonderful new world with lots of privileges and activities that you have really all earned. And if now you're leaving us for another school, we just want you to know that you are in our thoughts and that our front door and back door, without the code that you're not supposed to know, is always open to you. We want you to know that we care about what you're doing and how you're doing, so please keep us in touch. So, as with Ty and a few of you, I have known you since you were very small. And you are recognizable as that same person that I knew when you were very little, both in your appearance and your personality. Each of you left us with some memories of the really extraordinary people that you are. And you've all contributed to our bigger community in service, in ways that you've helped younger children, in ways that you've helped the adults around you. When we needed you to open the door for us, you did, and we really appreciate all that you've offered. And like all of the other graduates from Childpeace that have come before you, I just believe that you will remember and take with you the experience of really knowing your classmates and your teachers so well. Those relationships will carry you in unknown ways, and you will know when to ask important questions. You'll know when to help others who need help, and you'll also be friendly with error, because that's how you will improve on any task you take on. So we now send you with lots of love and a quote from Maria Montessori. This is the treasure we need today, helping the children become independent of us and helping them find their way by themselves, and then receiving in return from them their gifts of hope and light. Lots of luck.
I'm proud to have the privilege to work with them and watch them grow into confident and self-assured individuals. Dr. Montessori said, "Our care of the child should be concerned not by the desire to make him learn things, but by the endeavor always to keep burning within him that light which is called intelligence." This group is a beacon of that light, and they've constructed themselves as individuals and contributing members of society. They have found success in their academic endeavors, as well as becoming respectful, loving, and caring human beings. We are thankful for self-reliant Ainsley with her generous, joyous spirit. As guides, we always knew we could count on her to lend a helping hand and mentor her fellow students. We are thankful for Jake's optimism, imagination, and wit. He always was a voice of reason and was able to offer a humorous take on any situation. We are thankful for Jonah's compassion, artistic skills, and ability to be a good friend. Children would often go to him to consult on their art projects for their follow-up pieces, and he would always lend a generous hand. We are thankful for Hallie's confident leadership and her willingness to take on any challenge. Her enthusiasm and skill while giving her Pink Tower lesson to the children of the Carpio was incredibly inspiring. We are thankful for Kiara's creativity, flexibility, and love of community. We appreciate you sharing your talents with us at Friday presentations and always keeping it real during class meetings. We are thankful for Eden and his good-natured personality and honesty. We appreciate your perseverance and determination. We are thankful for Ellen for her resiliency and compassion. You found your passion with your service project, and it's inspiring to see your dedicated volunteers do such great work. We are thankful for Ty and his quick wit, curious nature, and creativity, his diligence and care of our classroom fish tank, bringing it from a basic environment with a singular lonely fish to a diverse habitat, housing a variety of species. We are thankful for Kayla's gracious spirit, ability to be perceptive, and beautiful handwriting. Thank you for always adding lovely detail to your journal and speaking up or lending a hand when someone in the community needed assistance. As you move further down your path, please take what you have learned from your time with us in the Hawthorn room and not only apply your many talents, but move forward and strive to build a community and care for your new environments. Thank you for all you have taught us, and we are confident you are prepared for your next adventures.
Make sure our students can read their speeches. See if I can do anything with the writing. Okay, so. Converting the stage from the play set to this set and then back and all of our writing. We've got a very flexible stage. First step, early.
My speech will begin in first grade. What I like about Montessori school is how you can choose where you sit and what you work on. Another thing that I like about Childpeace is all the camp trips and going outs. My school before Childpeace was Bethany Village Montessori School. I remember being very excited for Childpeace. I remember practicing cursive because I used to write in print. On the first day of Laurel, I felt excited and nervous at the same time. What I liked about Lorel was learning multiplication and division. Another thing that I enjoyed learning was antonyms and synonyms. I also loved Spanish. Katie always made it a lot of fun. I loved third grade. I liked being the mature one in the class. I remember trying really hard to be mature. I also remember doing multiplication facts and every day. Before that, I did subtraction and addition facts. For my end of the year research, I did a research on the White House. In the research, I talked about all the rooms and all the different colors in them. The day I presented it to the Myrtle Room third graders and their families, we all got to go to Jamison Square to get ice cream. If I did that again, I would probably bring swim shorts because there was a water park, because it's a water park. When I got chosen to be in the Hawthorn room, I was very excited, but I would have been excited either way. In fourth grade, I loved learning fractions and order of operations. I also loved all the new freedoms that we had. In fifth grade, I got a lot of math lessons. I learned so much about fractions and many more. I also got a main part in the play. I got 11 lines. But I actually really liked my part because of the dance. In sixth grade this year, I liked being on top of the class once again and having the Oregon Food Bank as my service project. Because the talent show in years past was very fun, and because I don't want people to be hungry, that is what inspired me for the Oregon Food Bank to be my service project. At the talent show, Sophia and I raised about 186 pounds of food each. I would like to thank all the people that participated in the talent show. One of the things that I looked forward to all year was Costa Rica. Our tour guide Johnny was amazingly nice. He gave us so many drinking options like water or agua. We actually had many different smoothies and fruit punch. Out of all the stuff we got to see in Costa Rica, I think the zoo is my favorite part. I love seeing all the butterflies, hummingbirds, and wildcats. I like the zoo the most because of the part where they fed all the wildcats. The airplane ride home was not fun because we didn't want to come home. Now I'd like to thank some people that made a difference in my life. First, I would like to thank Claire and Kevin for being great teachers in Laurel and giving me all those lessons. I would like to thank Katie for giving me all those Spanish lessons. A few other people I would like to thank are Kristen, Stephanie, Ryan, and Evan for being awesome teachers and making school fun. Last but not least, I would like to thank my parents for taking me to school, giving me this education, and coming to things like this. That is my speech.
And I'm a sixth grader in Hawthorn room. On my first day at Childpeace, I did not cry or scream when I went into the class because I had been there before, so I was familiar to it. When I entered the juniper room, my first teacher was Samantha. She was very kind and she gave lots of great lessons. Our assistant teacher's name is David, and he was very good at acting. On the first day, I also made a new best friend named Aiden Lauersdorf. I liked him because he was really funny and really nice to me. He had long brown hair, and everybody would say he looked like Justin Bieber. I barely knew what any of the new materials were. We also had Spanish lessons, which were new and kind of confusing, but I enjoyed them. Our Spanish teacher's name was Asia. This year, we went to Camp Guano. I think that this was a great experience for me because it was my first camp that I had ever been to. The next year, I was a second year. We had a new teacher named Amy. My favorite work in the juniper room by far was perimeter. We could draw almost anything and then measure it. Sometimes Aiden and I would make huge castles and measure them. It was so fun, we would do it for a long time. At this time in our class, we had a pet fish and a frog. On the playground, my favorite thing to play was volleyball and foursquare. I thought I was pretty good at both of them. Next, I graduated into third grade. This year, we had a new assistant teacher named Ashley. Her drawing inspired me. Drawing definitely became my favorite thing to do at this time. I thought I was pretty good at it because everybody would always compliment my drawings. I really liked the first grader named Aiden Kilbane. They would always draw from them and rub them and read to us. I then graduated into the Hawthorn group. Everyone there seemed huge and so cool. I really wanted to be like them. My best friends were Connelly and Ellen. My new teachers were Kristen, Stephanie, and Tom. I thought all of them were amazing and super nice. Tony would tell fantastic stories, and everyone would want him to sit at their tables for lunch. His stories were either hilarious or terrifying. We still like Beauty, which made me happy because she is funny. I really liked Aftercare because we would usually go outside during the playroom to play board games. Playing was like Disneyland at my age. In the upper elementary, you have to write a lot more journals, but that was okay because I've always loved writing. In 5th grade, Kristen announced she would leave to have a baby. That made everyone really sad, but it cheered us up when she announced that Stephanie would be taking her place. Ramya also joined us and she gave us so many awesome math lessons. Every day, I would be super excited to come into the classroom because Ramya would start the 5th year's day off with a math lesson. This is also the year we went to Camp OPI. My favorite part was playing Hide and Pray because it is a game of survival and it shows how hard it is for the animals around the world. Our new assistant teacher was Kevin. He was familiar to us since he worked in Memorial and he would always play guitar. This year was probably my biggest year. Every 6th year has a service project, and for mine, I chose to work with Felines First. Felines First is an organization that deals with cats who can't care for themselves. For my volunteer work, I would come in and clean their rooms or get them new food and water. Having the service project really helped me as a person and made me feel really good about myself. I think who really helped me was my mentor, Jessie Spaulding. She would always encourage me and tell me to keep trying. We also had an opportunity to go to Costa Rica, which is an incredible experience for everybody. We learned, saw, and did so much. My favorite part was probably the zoo because we got to see ocelots, pumas, and jaguars all get fed. My favorite restaurant was a place where I got quesadillas and mango juice. Now I would like to thank some people. I would like to thank Samantha, Amy, David, Ashley, and Asia for teaching me so much in the junior group. I would like to thank Kristen, Tony, Stephanie, Ramya, Evan, Kevin, and Katie for teaching me almost all that I know in the Hawthorn room. And last but not least, I'd like to thank my family, probably the most, for always encouraging me, pushing me forward, and helping me follow my dreams.
Good morning, I'm Jane Davis and I have a word I'd like to share with you. Incredible. Oxford Dictionary describes this word as unbelievable, extraordinary, amazingly good, or beautiful. That's the word I would use to describe my experience at Childpeace. It all started when I was 3 years old in Children's House. I was in the maple room where my teachers were Ivy and Wendy. It was overwhelming at first, but I made a few friends like Aiden and Nate. I don't remember much more about Children's House. That was a long time ago, so I'll skip to 1st grade. Once again, it was a little overwhelming. At the start of the year, I met a ton of new people like Odin Holden, Hallie, Katie, Coleman, Jake C, and Jake N. There were a lot of Jakes. Later in the year, I went to camp for the first time. We went to Camp Hancock, which is a desert camp in eastern Oregon. The second we got there, a group of people and I were whisked away to do some bug hunting. What I remember most about that was that we found a ton of scorpions, which scared everybody. I still have a lot of incredible friendships I made that year today. When I got to school on the first day of 2nd grade, I saw our new guide for the first time. Her name was Sorrel. She could be a little strict, but she was an incredible guide. I was also happy to see my best friend Aiden was the first year in my class, and there was a new kid named Isaac who I was going to become great friends with. For my winter celebration research that year, I did animals of the Oregon Trail. The next big thing we did was camp. That year we went to Camp Attitude, aka Santiam Science School, which was really fancy and nice. We learned about forest ecology and freshwater animals. It was a year of old and new friends, learning, and lots of multiplication tables. In 3rd grade, this was the year I was the leader of the classroom. For the winter celebration, we did tide pools in the Pacific Northwest and their animals. For my research, I did the hermit crab, which was a lot of fun to do. The assistant teacher, Millie, and I made an incredible cardboard model of a hermit crab for the big poster that's up on the wall of the record room. For camp that year, we went to Camp Kwanalong, which is really close to the ocean. We were going to go tide pooling, but the bus got stuck in traffic, so sadly we had to go straight back to school. At the end of the year, the 3rd graders wrote researches about sugar for our graduation ceremony. For my research, I did the sugar beet, which unsurprisingly is used to make types of sugar. In 4th grade, I was once again at the bottom of the pile of people. I had to meet a ton of new people. It's a lot like 1st grade. My teachers were Kristen and Tony. Some of the new lessons I had were division and different types of verbs. For the winter celebration that year, we did researches on the 13 colonies of colonial America. My research with Ella and Emma, we did cash crops that they used. We also served hot cider, which may have been the best part. For camp that year, like in 1st grade, we went to Camp Hancock. Exact same stuff minus the bug hunting. For the play that year, I got the lead role of Peter Pan. Nobody expected that, including me. It was the first time I got a lead role, and it felt incredible to do. Incredibly, 5th grade was only a little bit different from 4th grade. Once again, we had the winter celebration on the ancient peoples of the Americas. I researched Aztec religion and their rituals. I'm not going to talk about it right now because I don't want to gross anyone out. For camp that year, we went to OPI, Olympic Peninsula Institute, which is right next to a lake that we got to go canoeing on. For the play that year, we did a history around the world where I was Hubert, who knew everything about the British monarchy. It seemed like half of the monarchs were killed in the Tower of London. They really shouldn't go there. When I came in for the first day of 6th grade, I had a ton of beginning of the year stuff. Felt like we had more lessons than ever. For that service project this year, I chose to do Sunshine Vision, which is an organization that gives clothes and food to people in poverty or are homeless. I had a drive at the end of April where we probably raised over 700 pieces of clothing for the Sunshine Vision. For the winter celebration this year, we did the Oregon Trail. I researched the climates of the trail, which were desert, plains, and mountains. Next big research was for Costa Rica. I took a closer look at animals, landforms, and plants with Holden and Odin. Going to Costa Rica was amazing. Being in a different country without my parents was also a lot of fun. Spending time at the Carpio to teach the children in poverty lessons was an incredible experience. I'd like to thank Ivy, Whitney, Rob, Sorrel, Billy, Tony, Kristen, Stephanie, Katie, and Ramia for being my teachers all these years and making this education possible. I'd like to thank my friends for always being there and helping me. And most of all, I'd like to thank my parents for driving me to school and helping me whenever I had a problem. The last 9 years have truly been incredible.
So, the world has been evolving for 4.5 billion years. Whole species have evolved and become extinct. Civilizations have risen and fallen, but none of that matters right now. I'm here to talk about my Childpeace experience. My name is Ty Sherman, and I am a 6th year in the Hawthorn room. I started my Childpeace experience in toddlers community, and I have been going to Childpeace for 10 years. After toddlers community, I moved on to a children's house classroom. The thing I remember most from children's house is a small play we performed for the parents. My part in the play was a garden. I was so excited when we actually put on the play, I almost forgot one of my 4 lines. That, I think, was my favorite experience at Children's House. The next stage of my Childpeace journey was lower elementary. On my first day of school, I met Elliot and Isaac. They turned out to be some of my best friends in Lower L. My favorite work in Lower L was area of a rectangle. I liked it because I could draw really big pictures and count the area. I made some huge drawings that took up about 10 pieces of paper each. Eventually, Claire, our teacher, decided that we should take a break from area. It was probably because we were doing more drawing than actual work. In 2nd and 3rd grade, I was pretty much done with doing area the way I did in 1st grade and was doing more actual work. I did a big research on the Romans, though. I really enjoyed researching the Romans and their way of life, and am still interested by the Romans today because of that research. I also enjoyed writing and illustrating stories. Once, when our class was using a lot of tape, Claire told us tape was made out of dinosaurs, so we stopped using so much. After Lower L, I moved on to Upper Elementary. I was so excited when I heard that I was in the Hawthorn. It was exhilarating being in a whole new environment. I met some of the other 4th grade boys who had just arrived in the Hawthorn room too. Their names were Nate, Jake, and Jim. Hayden was still in my class, and I was very glad to have a 4th grade boy I already knew well. Our teachers in the Hawthorn room were Kristen, Stephanie, and Tony. There was also our Spanish teacher, Katie, who rotated between all the classes. My first research of Upper L was on atoms with Rohan and Henry. It was super fun for me because Rohan was so enthusiastic about our topic. When we were done with the report, I learned a lot about atoms and elements. In 5th grade, I really enjoyed doing reports with other people. Halfway through the school year, my family and I took a 1-month trip to West Africa. When I got back, I learned that Tony had left. I couldn't wait for the year to end so it could be a 6th year. When I walked through the door of the Hawthorn room for the first time earlier this year, I was very excited. I was finally in 6th grade. I had been looking up to 6th years through all my years in upper elementary. When I got in class, I noticed that there were a few changes. There was a new student and a new teacher. Their names are Evan, Ejner, and Joseph. For my service project, I chose to volunteer for Guide Dogs for the Blind, or GDB. My mentor was named Ken. He helped me so much, but disappointingly, I did not get a chance to puppy sit a guide dog. I did, however, finish the service project process. I might, during the summer, try to puppy sit with Guide Dogs for the Blind, so I have that to look forward to. At the end of the school year, all of us 6th years went on a 1-week trip to Costa Rica. We did many things there, like ziplining and going on a boat tour on a river inhabited mainly by crocodiles. It was a new experience for me going on a school trip with so much freedom. It was very different and a lot more fun, in my opinion, than most school trips. It was definitely an experience that I will never forget. Now that I'm at the end of my Childpeace elementary experience, there are a few people I would like to thank. First of all, I would like to thank all of my incredible teachers who guided me so much during my Childpeace journey. I would also like to thank all the students in the school for making it such a wonderful community to learn and grow in. And finally, I would like to thank my parents for giving me the opportunity to go to such a great school. Thank you.
I've had so many big dreams, and my experience at Childpeace has helped me get so far into accomplishing them. My name is Kiara Janata Rothenberg. This is my 5th year at Childpeace, but my 6th year at Montessori school. My experience at Childpeace started in 1st grade. I was in the myrtle room with Claire and Kevin. I was really upset when I found out that my friend from preschool, Elowen, was in the juniper room, but I was happy that we were together in the same school again. On my first day, my host was CMR. I remember looking up to her so much. In 1st grade, I met Katya and Audrey. We hung out all the time and worked on our favorite work, tone bars and large bead frame. 1st grade went by way too fast. In 2nd grade, Audrey left, but Katya and I met Sophia. We sat together and worked together and soon became kind of the group. You would never see us apart. That year, I became good friends with Hayden, and we did a lot of tone bars together. That year, some of my favorite word choices were racks and tubes, tone bars, and I loved doing researches. Some of my favorite researches are on Georgia O'Keeffe and the myrtle bush. In 2nd grade, I found out that my family and I were going to Italy for a year in 5th grade. 3rd grade was a really exciting year for me because I got to be one of the oldest in the class. I was a leader. I was a role model, just like CMR had been to me. I worked on grammar boxes, flashcards, time for kids, and tone bars. I felt so proud when I finished flashcards and grammar boxes. When I got a lesson on the last grammar box, the interjection, I remember Claire saying, "Pshaw, Kiara's almost finished with her grammar boxes." In 3rd grade, I took my first test. I remember being really nervous, but after I thought, whoa, that was really fun and pretty easy. I was so excited to find out which class I would be in. When school finally got out on the day of the announcement, I don't think I even bothered to say goodbye to Kevin. I was in the Hawthorn room with Kristen and Tony. I was really upset when I found out that I wasn't with Katya and Sophia. But when I looked at the list a little closer, I realized that I was with Elowen. I ran up to her and hugged her. She just came back from camp and she dropped all of her stuff. For my end of the year research, I researched Pangea. I remember on our third year outing, we were all wearing short sleeve shirts and shorts because the weather said it would be nice, but it started pouring rain. That summer, I prepared for the Hawthorn room, and I was ready to be a fourth year, even though I would be one of the youngest. My first day in the Hawthorn room started with playing a game where you had to share things about yourself with a random person. I chose McKenna. We explained our favorite movies, and we soon became close friends. Evelyn and I did a lot of work together that year. We did a report on Chicago and decided to do a research on how Brooklyn got its name. Other than working with Evelyn, I met Ainsley, Hallie, Ella, Amelia, Katrina, and Simone. I did a lot of work with Ella and Amelia. I also was a part of the spelling group with Stephanie where I met Jake. As a follow-up, Jake and I decided to get both spelling groups together from each class and have a spelling bee. It was so much fun. I was really nervous for the end of fourth grade. It went by way too fast, and I was really nervous for Italy. But when we left on July 16th, I felt better. And before I knew it, it was the first day of school. Again, I was so scared. But I had already met 2 friends, so that made me feel a little better. I was actually really surprised by how much everyone liked me. I felt like a celebrity. 2 girls even fought over who was going to sit next to me on the very first day. I felt right at home. I met a bunch of new friends, and I got really close to my teachers that year were Gabriella, Orienta, and Valentina. I was kind of confused because my parents said that it was a Montessori school, which it was, but we had desks, had a chalkboard, had books and book bags, and we had a lot of homework. I thought they meant like Childpeace. That year was good practice for my service project because we helped out with an organization called Petite Flame. We sold kids-old toys and gave money to the organization so they could help kids go to better schools. I remember one of the ladies who worked for Petite Flame told us that some kids in developing countries used 1 piece of paper for the entire school year. That made me really sad. When the last day of school came, I was almost scared because the school year had gone by really fast, almost too fast. On the last day of school, we all brought in food and had a dance party. No need to bring your book bags that day. 6th grade. I'm back in the Hawthorn room with Stephanie, Kristen, and Evan. On the first day of school, I was ready to be a leader again. On the first day of school, I also met Kayla, who has kept me smiling for what feels like forever. This year has been really exciting. I became a part of 3 committees, and I have been a liaison for the Laura Room with Ainsley, and a reading buddy for Odette in the Pine Room. This year, I chose Grow Up as my service project. Grow Up is an organization that helps girls around the world get an education. Since most of the activity happens in places like China and Cambodia, my job is to spread the word by going around to different schools and teaching 5th years about why girls need an education. It touched my heart when one girl was carrying 5 gallons of water across the room and back and said, "Why do people, especially girls, have to carry this much water for over 5 miles instead of going to school? That's just messed up." Even though I only went to 3 schools, I felt like I did a good thing by spreading the word. Another big start of the school year was Costa Rica. I think that is so cool that we get to go out of the country for a graduation trip. My favorite parts were the La Paz waterfall gardens and helping out in La Carpio. It felt so good to help kids learn. I taught the sandpaper letters. I remember having such a hard time learning cursive, but now they won't have that trouble. Well, the school year isn't finished yet, and we have a lot of things to do still, but at least I have my speech almost over with. Before I conclude this, I would like to thank all of my teachers, Claire, Kevin, Asia, Katie, Kristen, Tony, Gabriela, Orienta, Valentina, Stephanie, and Evan for helping me become the accomplished person I am today. I would like to thank all of my friends for always keeping me happy. I would like to thank Sue for making my experience at Childpeace possible. And of course, I would like to thank my mom, my dad, and especially my sister for always believing in me. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Oliver Schroeder. Before I start my speech, I would like to say that the most important thing I have learned at Childpeace is to be myself no matter what. One of my favorite quotes is, "Why try to fit in when you were born to stand out?" Now let me start by telling you about my first day at Childpeace. I started in 1st grade in the junior group. Montessori was very different from my old school. I was in a class with mixed grades, and there were many new materials that I had no idea how to use. Samantha was my teacher that year. I remember learning how to write in cursive as one of my very first lessons. At the time, I thought it was impossible. I remember working very hard to practice. My first camp experience was really fun. I remember singing songs on the campfire with my new friends, Maya and Mara. First grade ended too soon. After summer ended, I came back to school for second grade. The Junior room had a new teacher named Amy Eshelby. Amy helped me find my strengths and inspired me to work hard. My favorite work choice was the large bead frame. I would work on it all the time with my friend Ruby. I continued to work on my handwriting. There was a special new type of handwriting called copper plate handwriting. Another memorable moment was my first going out. I walked to the Central Library with Ruby and Mara. It was a very fun new experience. Then it was third grade. It was exciting getting to be a role model and a leader, but I was also nervous for the third grade test. It was the first test I ever had, but it turned out to be pretty easy and really fun. My favorite lesson was long division. I was very happy to finally finish all the grammar boxes and math flashcards. I have been working towards finishing them all lower L. Before I knew it, I was graduating from lower L and going into the Hawthorn with Kristen Kelly. I was sad that Ruby was moving to San Francisco. However, I was excited when I found out that Kiara was in the same classroom as me. We went to the same preschool and we have been friends ever since. Fourth grade is different than lower L. I was really nervous, but the older students made me feel welcome. I met new friends that year, such as Amelia and Bella. In Upper L, you go to a camp called Eagle Fern in the fall. The camp helps make new friends and is really fun. I remember doing the brown bag skits. I researched many subjects in fourth grade. One of my favorite researches was on the history of Portland. I did that one with Kiara. It was really interesting to find out how Portland got its name. Fourth grade went by very quickly. My fifth grade year was a year of growth and new experiences. I was pretty sad because Kiara was traveling Italy that year. That was also the year that Stephanie became a teacher because Kristen was with her baby Lua. I learned a lot. Ramia also became a teacher in our classroom. She taught us a lot about fractions and gave us many new math lessons. We also learned a lot about U.S. history. I also learned a lot that year about being empathetic and more responsible and organized, and about making new friends. I got to know Kayla, Ainsley, and Hallie. In the spring, we went to Camp OPI, which is on the Olympic Peninsula. This camp was probably my favorite camp. Even though I had a broken leg, it was really fun. We got to go canoeing to an island and explore caves and went on hikes. At the end of the year, we did a play called The History of the World, Abridged. I played Miss Morita, who was a person who interviewed people about new inventions in the modern world scene. Another memorable thing that year was winning the snack with Kayla. I will always remember the smoothie fiasco. Sixth grade came very quickly. Before I knew it, Kiara was coming back. Sixth grade has a lot of responsibilities, but is really fun. I really enjoyed my service project. I chose the Serendipity as my service project, which is a school for children with mental health disabilities. I learned a lot about organizing. When I emailed the Serendipity Center, I forgot to type the I in Gmail, so they got the email, but I never got the response. Eventually, I called them. It was a great learning experience. I volunteered with 3 other students in the Growing Minds Garden with my mentor, Nicholas. We made a trellis out of red osier dogwood that the children could play, learn, and plant flowers in. It was really inspiring. I worked very hard on state standards. There were many new lessons I got and new things to learn. The 6th grade test took a lot of preparation and learning. We did a lot of practice tests to get ready. I was also really nervous for Costa Rica, but really excited. Costa Rica was amazing. One of my favorite memories was going to the La Paz Waterfall Gardens, where I accidentally dropped my water bottle over the little overhang thingy and into the waterfall. Also, I enjoyed the zip lining and volunteering at La Carpio, where a woman named Gail gave us an incredible lesson on the history of poverty. All in all, Childpeace has been an amazing school for me. It has helped me become more responsible and confident. I would like to thank all my teachers, Samantha, David, Amy, Ashley, Kristen, Katie, Stephanie, Tony, Evan, Greg, and Ramia. Thank you for helping me become the person I am today. I would also like to thank all my friends for always being there for me. Lastly, I would like to thank my family for supporting me helping me through challenges, and being my role models, and so much more. Yes, even you, Abby. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hallie Richards. Close your eyes and ask yourself, what was I like in 6th grade? Was I smart? Forgetful? A leader? A follower? But the most important question you should ask is, who did you want to be? I just finished my 8th year at Childpeace, and I know who I want to be. My experiences at Childpeace have shaped me in that direction. It all started with my wonderful teacher, Kathy, in the Pine Room. My favorite work was the farmhouse, a lesson where you would read the names list and then match it with the animals in the barn house. I would do this every day with my friends Paloma and Eliza. I also remembered that every birthday, my parents and I would donate a gift to the class, which was a book or something. Back then, there was no such thing as birthday treats. In preschool, I was a very easygoing child. That all changed in Lower Elm. I moved to the Redwood room where Rob was my 1st grade teacher. I was really upset when Eliza went to the murder room, but I quickly found a new friend, Katie. We hung out every day and did the small bead frame and lots of grammar. I remember my goal was to finish my grammar boxes by the end of 1st grade, and I did it. I remember being so proud and happy, and right after I finished, Rob told us he was leaving next year and Zora was replacing him. Early next year, I learned that Zora was an awesome teacher. I learned a lot about math and also did a lot of square root and long division. I didn't do quite as much grammar as I did in 1st grade though. 2nd grade was also about the time I started my start to like books. My first real book, which wasn't really real literature, was the Mary Kate and Ashley series. After that, in 3rd grade, I started the Harry Potter series. By then I was the boss. 3rd grade was my favorite year because I was so excited to be one of the oldest. At the end of the 3rd grade year, we had to do research and a speech. I did research on Michelle Obama. That's what signified that we had finished 3rd grade. Over the summer, I was dying to go to the Hawthorn room with Kristen as my teacher. When I got there, I felt really young again. I did not like that. But I quickly became friends with Katrina, McKenna, Ainsley, and all the 6-year girls. I've got to admit, I was a bit of an admirer to the 6-year girls, They were just so perfect, and I wanted to be just like them. I remember Ainsley, my favorite work was the antonyms and synonyms scheme. At the end of the year, Kristen announced that she was pregnant with a baby girl, and next year, Stephanie would be the classroom guide. Shortly after that, they cast the play. I was super excited for the play because I thought I had been a great dancer, singer, and actor in Lower Elm. I wanted it to be a lead role. That ended up not working out. I still had a blast though. I was one of those really silly and spaced out pirates, and my backup was a princess. Cheryl was my backup in case I couldn't make it. Anyway, 4th grade was really fun, and over the summer I was so bored. I was really excited for 5th grade, especially because I would get the proofreading lesson where I could check other people's work. I think that this was my favorite year because I was pretty comfortable in the upper L, and I didn't have the responsibilities of 6th year yet. I also had a lot of fun because this is the year that Kristen had her baby, Lula, and Ramya was in the class. Stephanie had taken the head teacher role, so Ramya was the assistant guide. We did a lot of history that year, and I remember that Evelyn and I really bonded this year and when we did the research on George Washington together. I also got to know Kayla really well, and I liked her because she was so smiley. This year, I researched John Cabin and was hung up in the playroom wall. But it was near the end of the year, that was near the end of the year. For the play, we were doing a world history, a bridge. This time, I really wanted a main role. I got a main role in one scene. I got a role that I was passionate about, though. My role is Spiculus. She was a Roman gladiator who was very strict. It was really fun, and I would definitely do it again. This is also the time I started the state standards. I mostly did the math state standards in 5th grade. Over the summer, I remember Ainsley and I would hang out every day, and we were ready for 6th grade when it came. Ready for state standards, 6th grade lunch, Costa Rica, and service projects. For my service projects, I volunteered at Friends of Trees, which is where you would go and volunteer by planting trees and shrubs. I brought 11 people along with me as helpers, and we had a blast. In my Childpeace experience, I've been working really hard on my Spanish and not prepared for Costa Rica. Costa Rica was fabulous. When I heard that there were 2 hours of Spanish lessons, I was like, no! And then I actually had them, it was so amazing. I think my favorite part of Costa Rica was La Paz Waterfall Gardens. It was just so exotic and beautiful there. Sixth grade has been a great year, and I will cherish it forever. I will study around though because I'm headed in Metro. I would like to thank my friends for always helping me through each day and being super supportive. My teachers for answering all my questions and helping me, even though there are nearly 40 other kids to help, they try to stay as helpful as possible. And mostly I would like to thank my mom and dad for always believing in me. Thank you.
At the beginning of time, there may have not been life on Earth, but the universe was preparing for the future. For me, Montessori has been that universe. It has prepared me for challenges ahead and brought so many wonderful experiences. My name is Hawthorn, and this is my journey. I remember my first day of school as my brother held my hand and walked me down to my classroom. Right as I came through the door, I met my teacher. Her name was Julie. Immediately, I got many lessons. I remember being so amazed by all the materials and soon found my favorite, squeezing orange juice. I went to the Montessori School of Beaverton, or MSB. I remember one time when I got my shoes wet and the teacher carried me around for the rest of the day. I didn't really understand why, considering that my socks are perfectly dry, but I enjoyed it anyway. Soon I made some friends. One friend's name was Anila. We became great friends that year. When it was time for first grade, I was really excited. On the day after summer break, I waited for Anila so that we could walk down to our new classroom together. As the year went on, I became great friends with the first year who had just come to MSB. Her name was Alexandra. Lower L was a lot different than primary, because now we had many more lessons and journals to record our work in. That year, my teacher's name was Amy. I really liked her, and she taught me so much. Unfortunately, at the end of the year, she said that she would no longer be teaching at MSB. I was very sad that she wouldn't be my teacher for the rest of Lower L. Instead, she would be teaching at Childpeace Montessori. In second grade, a new teacher came. Her name was Katie. One of my greatest memories from second grade was going to Camp Hancock. I remember seeing a lot of amazing wildlife and having a great time. At the end of Lower L, Alexandra told me that she was moving away to San Diego. I was really sad that she was leaving, and I miss her so much. In no time, it was fourth grade. My teacher's name was Kathleen. She had very high expectations in class. However, I realized that by doing so, it helped us get a lot more work done. Later on, my parents thought that Childpeace could be an even better fit for me. For a while, I was on the wait list for Childpeace, until one day after I'd been picked up from school. We were almost home when my mom said, "Guess what? You got into Childpeace." I stared out the window, tears streaming down my face as I wondered how I'd tell my friends. The next day at school, I didn't tell them I was leaving. There was about a week and a half left of school when the whole class was gathered at circle and a kid raised his hand and said, "Isn't Kayla going to a different school next year?" I had no idea how he knew, though my friends are very supportive, which made me feel a lot better. I remember the last day of school when the whole class had a cherry pit spinning contest. It was to see who could spit a cherry pit the furthest. Mine would always hit a garbage can. I guess I wasn't as experienced. It was also Crazy Hair Day, but because it was pouring down rain, when I went outside, my face got covered in blue hair dye. It was very hard saying goodbye to MSB and all the people there. At first, I was very nervous for fifth grade, although I was very happy that one of my very great friends, McKenna and Lee, would be at Childpeace with me. We used to go to MSB together. In my first year at Childpeace, I learned so much educationally, but also socially. I made many new friends and learned lots more about time management and leadership. By the time I was sixth grade, I felt ready. This year, I learned so much about community service and about being a role model. Towards the end of the year, I was very nervous for the Costa Rica trip. Although when I was there, I had an amazing time. I had many great experiences and memories that I'll have forever. On this trip, I got to know all the sixth graders a lot better and made new friends. One of my favorite days in Costa Rica was when we went to a school named La Carpio. There we taught Spanish lessons to the children, and we learned a lot about the history of poverty and how people all around the world have to live that every day and how fortunate we are here. Now that I've come to the end of my speech, there are many people I would like to thank. my parents for making it possible for me to have a Montessori education, and my brother for always being there for me when I needed it. I want to thank all my teachers, Stephanie, Kristen, Katie, and Ramya, for being great teachers and helping me get to the place I am now. As everything will pass, the thing I will always remember are the friends and family that supported me through my journey. Thank you.
Close your eyes and picture eating a big, juicy watermelon on a hot summer day. It tastes like candy to the touch of your lips. Do you know how a watermelon starts to grow? It starts with one little seed. The seed grows and grows, and then more seeds come in. And it blooms into a beautiful flower and becomes a watermelon. You know what? I am that watermelon. It's almost like every time a new seed forms from the watermelon, I have a new experience in my life. One of the first experiences I had was my very first day at preschool. My teachers' names were Heaven and Crystal. They taught me so much. My favorite work was the pink tower, and I always did it with my best friend, Olivia Carey. My school was called Harmony Montessori School. My family really loved the school because the teachers were really sweet and kind. Each classroom was named after a water source. There was the waterfall room, the ocean room, and the river room. I was in the river room. I remember one of my favorite things about Harmony were the recitals that we would put on for our parents. This school really prepared me for my new school in Vancouver, Washington called Cascadia. When I first got there, I instantly became friends with Katrina and Amara. Amara was a very quiet girl, really shy, didn't talk very much, but Katrina was the complete opposite. My favorite word was the word bingo. I wasn't that good of a reader at that time, so this word really helped me a lot to become a better one. My teachers' names were Jenny and Denise. Everyone loved Jenny, especially Amara and I. In fact, we were kind of the teacher's pet. In second grade, I also met this girl named Anaya. She was one of those girls that never said so. She would literally come up behind you and jump on you. My favorite thing about third grade was the end of year researches, signifying that we were done with lower elementary. I did my research on Laura Ingalls Wilder. It was very interesting. But then suddenly my mom and dad took me out of the school and said it was not a good fit for me. So I was homeschooled for the last 3 months of the year. But I still got to present our research to the class. During this time, we tried to figure out where to send me, and we decided on Childpeace. I remember the first time I came to this school. I thought it was weird that it was under a bridge. But then, when I walked in, I remember how at home I felt. In the beginning of 4th grade, Katrina and I kind of stuck together because she had also changed schools with me. But then I became friends with Hallie. She helped me to be a lot more confident in almost everything with her great personality. We would always play Antonym the Simmons game. It was definitely our favorite work. As the year progressed, I started to get more and more comfortable until I had no problem at all fitting in. 5th grade was mostly a blur of fun. I had a couple of ups and downs, but everybody has those days. I became friends with a lot of new people, such as Paloma, Kayla, Ellen, Maddie, and Sophia S. One of my favorite things about 5th grade was the end of the year play, because the 5th graders got mostly the main parts. I was Marine, and I talked about the monarchs and stuff, so that was fun. So far, the best year I've had in Montessori experience is this year, because I've had so many opportunities to do so many different things. One of my favorite parts of 6th grade was the service project. This was when every 6th grader chose a volunteer organization to make sure we are really giving back to our community. I chose my father's house. It is an organization that takes in homeless families and gives them food, clothing, and shelter. I remember the first time I went to my service project. I worked in the children's center where I took care of 0 to 6-year-olds, while their parents tried to find a job. My favorite part was when I got to hold a little baby named Malachi. He was so adorable. And just, adorable. It was a great experience, and I'm very happy that I got to make a difference by bringing joy to these children's lives, and I will never forget it. Later on in the year, we started to really work on organizing our portfolio and state standards so we could get it done before Costa Rica. I was very happy when I finished. I remember when we first walked out of the airport into Costa Rica. It was so hot, and everyone was really tired. Costa Rica was so amazing with all the trees and plants, and everything was so fresh. One of my favorite parts on the trip was how how much our teachers trusted us. We didn't even have chaperones in our rooms. In Costa Rica, we went to so many different restaurants and activities that I lost track. My favorite one by far was when we went to Carpio and had a lesson on poverty and then taught songs and lessons to the little kids there. My name is Ainsley, and these are all the experiences that I've had in my 10 years in Montessori schools. I would like to thank so many people for making me who I am today. First, I would like to thank Jenny and my other lower L teachers for always being amazing and always willing to teach me new things. Thank you to Katie from Childpeace for always giving me great Spanish lessons and making them really fun. Stephanie, my upper elementary teacher, for always having the answers to any question. And finally, Kristen and Ramya for always making lessons fun and exciting. Also, I would like to thank all my friends, especially 5 girls, who have always been there for me no matter what. Lastly, I would like to thank my family. Although they are probably the weirdest people you will ever meet, they always seem to put a smile on my face. Now that this era of my life is over, I can move on from being a water mom. And then I will become a pomegranate like a metro. More seeds for more experiences. Thank you.
Well, those were amazing. Really amazing. Good work, everybody. We do have a couple of gifts that we'd like to give you. Kristen, maybe could we ask your help? Just out there. As I call your name, if you would come up and see Stephanie and Sue and Kristen. They have something to offer you as a gift, and then can take a place at the front of the stage, and we'll have a moment for some photographs and to acknowledge all of these graduates as a group. All right, so I think we're almost ready. All right, first up, Hayden Robley. Joe Lagoon. Jake Davis. Ty Sherman. Kiara Rockenberg. Eloise Schroeder. Hallie Richards. Kayla Palmer. And Ainsley Moss. All right, one more round of applause for the Hawthorn. All right, you all stand up for a moment and let your parents take your picture.